Who you admire most in the world and why?
Who I admire most in the world? I guess I have to go back and say my mother, man. Like, she's literally been my cornerstone for everything in which I've achieved so far. I've seen her, labor and day in and day out. I see her raising my 6-year-old brother, and just seeing the courage and the heart that she still has to this day. So I definitely admire her. I owe her everything. I promise you, once everything gets off how I want it to be, you're gonna be good.
So you talked the other day about being sensitive as a male in the black community.
Right.
Can you touch on that, and then also what is your personal, I guess, acceptance of it or yourself?
I would say, as far as being a male that's in tune with his emotions in the African American culture, I feel like maybe back in the day it was more frowned upon than it is today. As far as how society has changed and how everyone is just expressing emotions on every social media platform known to man. But for me, I think it's very important. Emotions is something that we shouldn't negate or, not think about. Emotions need to be expressed, whether if it's anger, happy, excited, sad. It has to get out. I'm a firm believer in the soda with the pressure method, in which if you shake a soda up so much, that pressure is going to be balled up to the top. So when the top is finally released, everything's going to come flying out at one time. And I really think, that should be something that, especially us as males, regardless if you're, African American or what culture you're from, males, we are taught to, hide our emotions and be strong for, your family or strong for yourself. But it's very important that you, get that out, because that plays into your mental health as well, which a lot of people don't think about, especially at my age. I mean, I'm 30, but, there's a lot of people that may be dealing with different issues regarding their mental health, and it's because of, certain tactics or behaviors that they've been taught that's been passed down from generation to generation. So
Self-care is really important.
yes.
As my wife says all the time, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else.
Yes,
So,
right.
if you could only teach one thing to your future child, what would it be?
Patience. Patience. As I've learned over these many years of trying different things, patience is what stood out the most for me. Just knowing that everything that you do, you're not going to get it on the first try, or other individuals that you deal with may not get stuff to you fast as possible or in which you would want it to come. But patience is everything, man. Patience has really gotten me past a lot of difficult times that I would have got myself into if I would have rushed right into it. So I definitely say I would teach my kid patience.
You a spender or a saver?
Right now, I've been more of a spender because of the pandemic and just being thrown all out of whack. But I'm trying to get back to the saving side, but definitely been a spender lately.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
You know what? I think I would be fine living here. I've lived in Nashville, Columbus, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Murfreesboro, and I mean, honestly, I know it's a cliche. It's no place like home. It's really not.
Right. Which famous person in history would you choose to spend the day with if you could pick?
I would have to say Les Brown.
Why?
Man, his story is amazing. How he was a twin, and how he was born in a abandoned building, and how he was labeled his favorite phrase. He said in every talk he does that he was labeled in school educal mental retarded, and just to see his growth go from being not thinking much of himself to being literally one of the most renowned motivation speaking to this day, man. Like he's really helped me so much, like over the past 5 years, regarding just uh, life and just inspiration every day. Like literally, I listen to them every morning.
What do your friends love most about you?
My sound advice, I would say. A lot of my friends come to me for advice, and I usually just try to give them the best logical thinking I can possible. If only I can follow my own advice, I would be in a better place.
What is a cause you truly believe in?
A cause that I truly believe in. I don't know the exact name for it, but I would definitely say a cause for better health in America, especially in the African American community. A lot of us, in the African American community, we are plagued by a lot of different health issues that we're not aware of, and it's not because they don't seek the information. It's just that it's never been displayed to them, and the resources that they lack in order to get the proper treatment and things of that nature. Health and fitness is like, it's everything. Like your health is your number one. Without health, I mean, you won't be here on earth to be able to thrive and continue on your journey. So whatever the health cause is, I don't know what they call it these days, but that's definitely something that I believe in.
If you could change anything about yourself, would you?
Nope. I wouldn't. Honestly, like I said, the man that I am today is due to the negative and the positive that I've experienced over these 30 years. And ultimately, honestly, man, it's catapulted me to be the person that I am like today. Like 5 years ago, I definitely wasn't the Dominique that's standing here before y'all, man. So I'm just thankful for, time on earth and just the experiences that I received, whether they be negative or positive.
What's your take on dating?
We kind of had this conversation.
I was taking notes.
It's hilarious because I'm 30 years old and I don't know what modern dating looks like at this time frame. Historically, I've been a one-woman type of guy, so I've been in pretty serious relationships for the most part of my dating career. So now, like I said, honestly, I don't know what it looks like because social media is how people hooking up now, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if I'm supposed to take you out to a movie or just have Netflix and chill. I don't know what it looks like nowadays in 2020.
So you've touched on some of this stuff, but what would you like people to know about you?
Ultimately, man, I just want people to know that, I'm an individual who seeks to gain knowledge and pass it along to everyone else. I really feel like our sole purpose in life is to be a sponge, but also release the knowledge that we receive from the next person to pass it down. A lot of people don't realize that, the art of passing it along to an individual is what that makes change. Just imagine if during the time frame in which, back in the day with a lot of hatred and segregation was being passed about, if positivity would just spread and just received by a different party and taken and passed through their party. So I definitely would say that.
What's something you consider unforgivable?
For me, unforgivable. Dishonesty. I'm really big on honesty. Not saying that I'm a freaking Scout's honor that haven't told a fib in my days, but your word is your bond, and also too, your word speaks of your character. I'm really big on character and how I present myself, and the main thing is that I try to remain honest as possible, and I expect the same from the individual. So dishonesty is definitely for me.
What advice would you give your teenage self?
Believe in yourself. During that time frame of being a teenager, man, I knew my potential, but I didn't believe in myself. Kind of go back to fear. Fear was, like I said, it's been plaguing me for a long time, in which I knew I had what it takes to do certain things, but I would second guess myself, just not knowing what's on the other side of the door. So I would definitely tell my younger self, believe in yourself.
What do you wish someone would ask you?
How am I doing? Like I said, I'm more, well, okay, so I'm talkative, as y'all can see. I talk a lot, so a lot of times I steer conversations. So I'm always in control of the conversations. And sometimes on my worst days, when I'm actually quiet, I'm looking for someone to ask me, how am I doing? So I definitely would say that.
It's a good question to ask. It's not that hard either.
Right.
What would you say to me as a white man that would make me uncomfortable, but that I need to hear?
I'll say it again.
And it may be that you don't have anything, but is there anything that you would say to me as a white man that would make me uncomfortable hearing, but that I also need to hear?
That's hard to put in words, man. I'd have to say that. Okay, what I would say to a person of non-color is that might make them uncomfortable. Is something they should think about. Is that when us as African Americans being viewed as violent or not caring or even be considered lazy, I would have to say to reflect back on your own ancestors' past regarding a lot of anger, hatred, a lot of labor that was given that was benefited off of. Yeah, that's definitely what I would say. Just before you evaluate our present, review your past.
And that kind of goes directly into my next question. How have racism and prejudice affected you personally?
I would say primarily for me, just based off of my upbringing and the way I carry myself, I haven't really experienced it like as much as maybe the next African American person may have. I have experienced it a lot when I got my first car. When I was in high school, I got a 1985 Chevy Monte Carlo. It was clean too. I still got it to this day. It's garage kept. It had 33,000 miles on it. I paid $500. Well, my mom paid $500 for it. And it took me 2 months to get it fully going because I had to get the title, everything taken care of. I had to get it up for inspections to go through the emissions. As soon as I got it up, the first thing before I even took the car out, my mama sat me down and told me how to conduct myself if I was to be pulled over. And me being 15, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking like, I'm trying to get from point A to point B, so I go to my friend's house. I'm not worried about getting pulled over by a cop. And lo and behold, I guarantee you, I can tell you, for the time frame I drove that car from 15 up to when I graduated high school, I probably got pulled over 30 times. And every single time I got pulled over, I never got a ticket. And it was solely only for the police officer because they saw a African-American male with dreads driving an old school vehicle. And they wanted to see if I had a license, insurance, and to make sure that the car wasn't stolen. And every single time they pull me over, I'll have my license, I'll have my insurance, and they'll look at it and literally let me go about my business. Every single time. It was never a legit reason why they would stop me. It would literally be, where you going or where you coming from. It'd never be like I wasn't speeding. It wasn't had any traffic violations, things of that nature. It literally was. It was that every time. And like I said, I mean, most of my interactions with police officers wasn't bad. I think once they saw, check my record. Obviously, I've never been arrested to this day. Knock on wood. I don't do anything to put myself in that position, but you just never know. But I think once they run my background, see that I got a clean record and that I have a valid driver license and valid insurance, I think that make them feel comfortable. So, yeah, that's the most I've experienced regarding racism in regards to that. Now, unbeknownst to me, I'm pretty sure I have probably experienced it. Maybe if I went on a job interview and I didn't get the job just based off how I looked, or they feel like I didn't fit in with the company. But that's pretty much what I've experienced.
So we talked the other day about the current state of our country, police violence, just violence towards people of color in general.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts as far as the current movement and emotions of people? Do you feel like that's going to bring about lasting change?
I mean, that kind of go back to what I was saying about the whole soda and the pressure thing. I feel like in the United States alone, man, from police brutality towards, people of color, it's been going on for so long. A lot of people don't think of the origins of, police officers, how it kind of derived from slave catchers. And you have to think of that mindset in which if it originally started off as patrolmen catching runaway slaves or checking to see if you're a runaway slave, and that slowly went away but advanced into something else, what we kind of call modern day law enforcement to this day. Those remnants still reign true, as we can see, with unarmed black men being killed on a daily basis, and women now, which is crazy. Honestly, man, I've never thought I would see the day like this now, how things are going. I really feel like everyone is fed up, and that's kind of the beauty of technology. I can only imagine the stuff that probably happened back in the early 2000s where we didn't have iPhones and when we didn't have Instagram and Facebook to live stream and put stuff up. I mean, it's scary to think of how much stuff is probably swept under the rug. And I just honestly thank God for technology now and for people that are willing to step up and say something. I feel like if more people would say something, then a lot of these issues could be deterred, especially with law enforcement within their own team. Like me personally, I couldn't put on a badge and sit there and watch someone get killed in my eyes. I just couldn't stand for it. I don't care what creed or whatever brotherhood is behind that. Me as my character and a human being, I'm not going to allow for someone to have to go through that. And like I said, I just feel like it's just it's just the times that we're in, man. It's been that bottle of soda's been shaken up for too long, and now the top is off and it's spewing out everywhere. And I think change is going to happen now because I think they realize the microscope that they're under now regarding with technology and how people are now more aware and want to make everyone else aware. So hopefully with these different law changes that they implement to hold, law enforcement more accountable, because at the end of the day, they are put on here to protect and serve. And I would hope, in the future that we can really trust that they are going to come and protect and serve, because a lot of people's mindset nowadays is that I would rather not call a police officer because I'm fearful that the police officer might take me as the threat where I'm actually the victim. So I honestly think that, it may not be ideal in everyone's eyes that, people are rioting and people are destroying things. But what I can say out of all this is a conversation, and eyes are being put on different things to where we may start seeing some changes, and ultimately it has to change. At the end of the day, the world won't be able to, United States period, won't be able to run the way it runs, how it's been running for this many years, because people are tired.
I know I bounced a whole bunch of questions off of you. Is there anything I didn't ask that you would like to speak to? Talk about yourself or anything else going on?
Um, hmm. Well, you didn't ask me how I came to be picked for this interview. I mean, me and Coach Miller go way back. He came to our school when I was it in ninth grade or eighth grade?
I think it was your ninth grade year.
My ninth grade
'Cause I
year.
didn't get to coach you in middle school basketball.
Yeah, ninth grade year, man. And I remember him coming in, man. He had the little, like a bob, like a blonde bob. And I was just like, who is this cat, man? And, man, like the growth I've seen him go through from the time frame in which I've known him at, from 21st century up until now, man. I could say he still remained the Coach Miller that I met first day. Very genuine, very passionate for everyone. And I'm just really, really grateful that he even thought of me to, come on to his platform and speak to his audience. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity.
So I didn't ask, but I will put it out there. The reason that Dominique was chosen is because I know his character. And as I said in the intro, he led by example through his work ethic. He didn't have to use his words as he got to do today. He showed people what it was like to work hard and be a leader. And I also know that with his stature, with his color, with his hair, that people do make assumptions based on those things before they ever hear a word come out of his mouth. And I think his story is one that needed to be told. So I'm gonna finish with one final question.
Yes, sir.
What's something that anyone can do, anybody, to make this world just a little bit better?
Honestly, like I said, I would just have to say just to adopt the gift of giving, man. A lot of people just don't realize that, giving is essential. This is what we're put on earth to do, is to give to someone. It doesn't have to be something physical or materialistic. It can be your words. It can be your energy. It could just be a hug, man. And I just really feel like if people will get in the mindset that it is, better to give than receive, I honestly think, Earth and everyone across the world will be in a better place, man. If we can just adopt that emotion of giving and actually enjoy giving, because I like giving.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. I can't wait to get this thing out and let people hear your story.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, man.